Steven sends regrets. He's fine all day, and like 4 o'clock started to feel unwell. So I thought it better to stay away. But we're in full strength.
We're live. I am just gonna share my screen. Are you seeing the agenda?
Yeah, it's perfect. Is there a chance
Larger?
that, yeah,
See, I'm not gonna be able to see, so yeah, if you could give me cues like that, that would be a help.
maybe one more click? Yeah, to me
Okay.
that's perfect. Definitely a big improvement. Yeah, there's a big improvement over the projector.
I think the audio is better too. Will be better. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, let's begin. I'm going to declare open this meeting of the Design Review Board and Historic Preservation Commission of the Village of New Paltz, meeting for our regular May meeting of May 13th, 2024. We're opening the meeting at 7:08 with a big thanks to you, Val, for getting the technology going. Thank you. First item is the approval of the minutes. I've reviewed them ahead of time. Does anybody have an amendment? No. Motion to approve. Move. And a second. Second by Michael. All those in favor? Aye. Val, thank you very much. That's always such an easy part of the meeting. Bill, are there any updates or reports?
Sure. Thank you for spending your Monday night in review of pressing matters. Just a couple of things I want to bring up. The Ulster County Planning Board met on the 1st of May. There were no referrals from New Paltz or the town of New Paltz, village or town. There was a good deal of discussion about a planner's memo that's being developed now. It's in draft form, and what this memo talks about is warehousing in Ulster County. That they felt that with space for warehouses running a bit thin in Orange County, as well as the patience of residents there, that Ulster County Planning decided that let's do a planner's memo. It's not going to be a law or anything, it's just guidance to planners as to where they should be sited and all that stuff. Taxing and assessing guidelines, as well as what exactly is a warehouse. You know, it seems to be the notion that we all know what a warehouse is, but you know, there needs to be some sort of description in that regard. The other thing that I thought would be of interest, not that there's going to be a lot of warehouses in the New Paltz, but certainly we should be aware of that conversation taking place. The town of Olive has proposed within their local law, number 1, I think I shared it with you, a definition of character. Did you get that email? Where the town is describing their town character form, and that's a fairly rare thing, particularly in Ulster County, where it's just described as will fall into character. In other words, like character is constituted. So that's interesting if you want to look at your emails. It's not as specific as I thought it might be. It's kind of general and broad, but you know, it gives you an idea of what other people are thinking in terms of what character means in the community. Planning board met last week. 2 projects were approved. The application of 85 North Chestnut Street, which is Mulberry and Chestnut. That's for multi-story, multi-use residence. You know, this is much infitting to the BR. That was shelved for a while, but it came back and now it's been approved. The 5 Prospect Street, the old carriage house, that's been reviewed by the planning board. The draft resolution is being prepared for the next meeting, so that's basically approved. And discussion about the old Wells Fargo bank building took a good deal of time, particularly when it came to parking spots and where people are gonna park, and it's gonna be two businesses, bank on one end, gym on the other end. We're looking for some sort of traffic study to help what those two businesses might impact our traffic in the area. So those are that's it. I've got any questions?
Anybody?
No. It's all thanks.
Do you know, not that you would necessarily know, but do you know if the 5 Prospect Street approval was based on a drawing other than the one that we saw?
I think there was another drawing submitted.
So-
And then you had some, I mean, you should get the draft of the resolution, take a look at it.
Yeah, I saw the draft.
You did?
I just,
I think you shared it though.
Yeah, okay,
yeah, I saw it.
yeah.
It mentioned that we would be consulted on siding, which is an area we
Yeah,
really
there was some presentation about siding very quickly at the planning board meeting where the architect showed a piece of the siding, maybe there were 2 pieces, I couldn't tell. And Zach and the chair and the planning board members said, oh, that looks okay to us, but I don't know if you issued an okay or not. I certainly could take a look at that and that could be made available to you.
We never saw it.
No, we never,
Okay.
we only ever saw a very preliminary drawing that actually didn't look too good to us.
Yeah.
So our advice was to go back and rethink it. I can follow up with Zach, that doesn't have to be your
Yeah.
problem. Just see where they are with that. I kind of like the idea of maybe making some time in the future to look at that town olive document together and just see if there's anything for us.
It's sort of, yeah, it's in code, it's sort of master plan language in a way, you know, it's the way it's a little narrative, and it's a little different approach to things. Then, you know, you wanna have something that defines character, but then you don't want it too narrow.
Exactly.
You know, so it's the balance, and you fall into descriptive thing, is it going to be helpful to those reviewing a project? Is it too broad, is it not, you know, specifying enough? So that's the big challenge. And anything describing character.
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
But it would be, I think, an interesting topic, so maybe we'll,
yeah, it's, I have things right to you guys out, so, yeah.
I mean, it sort of strikes me that maybe some statement is better than nothing at all. Character is just whatever anybody wants.
Absolutely.
This is also something.
It's known when you see it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, out of character is obvious. This is a town thing, but I noticed that the Freihoffer's outlet
Yeah.
has shuttered.
Yes.
Do we know anything about the warehouse? That's why I'm triggered.
That is an existing warehouse, so there's, you know.
Do we know if they plan to come?
Oh, yes, there's plans to come back, that's the last I heard.
Okay.
Plans to, they did present some plans, I think, to the town and to the county, just exterior renovation or look, just to make it a little bit more attractive. But there was no timetable given, and when that work would begin, or if they would just reopen again, so it's kind
It'll
of,
be within their right.
yeah. No, I'm very familiar with
It's just when you were mentioning warehouses, I thought,
Yeah, that's town.
It could be a much higher volume warehouse.
it. Yeah, and this memo would be certainly of interest to the town planning board. There is a lot of interest in it because of, like I said previously, it's spaces, you know, the type of warehouse where we accommodate the right routes and serve the needs that a business might have. Then in Southwest.
Great, well, thank you. Nothing on building department staffing?
Nothing.
Okay. Bill, thanks so much.
And I have a hard stop at 8:45.
So we all have our 8:45. Okay,
Thanks
no,
for your
thanks,
time.
thanks,
Thanks,
as always, thank you. Let's go on to agenda item C, which is Jude, on behalf of the Come on. And while Jude is doing that, let's just remind everybody that we have approved in principle, or more than in principle, we've approved a three-part approach to the porch problem at 88 Huguenot Street. A dangerously narrow porch no longer met insurance code, and so the plan is to take the most urgent part this summer and to lower section of the Leslie Bridge next summer. That's mostly just for the record. Welcome back to
Thank you for having
becoming
me.
a regular.
Yes.
Punch your frequent visitor card.
Yes. And there's a few other things on the list too, which I guess we'll get to afterwards.
We're always happy to see you.
Yeah, it's gonna be back. So this project has had some ups and downs. Last month, things got a little bit busier at Huguenot Street as well, so slowed down on some projects. But I do have a few updates for this one. I know last time we talked about getting actual examples to get, something of a profile in person. So this is just the typical PT spindle they have at Lowe's, which is honestly one of the closest I can get.
Yeah.
Because I did do some research with Reeb and HB&G, and I called them and sent photos to one of their associates, I guess you would say, and they emailed me. I think I actually emailed you, something, or at least Tom and George, I think. And they basically said, this is the best we've got, and it was just a common list of columns that I kind of already looked at, which none of them matched these ones at all. The closest thing was the same exact thing you can get from those. So that really didn't change that much. Although I do think that this is actually pretty accurate, and obviously, it meets the height requirements. Spindle, so I'm hoping to get approval for that, in the very least. And then obviously the railings are we're keeping them as those 2x4s with a bit of an edge on them. And as for the columns, I did not know where to turn anymore after that.
Yeah, because neither of those firms was helpful. I don't remember this email now. Where we landed with the columns was that you did find suitable columns at Lowe's.
Yeah, they don't match the exact profile, but they're the same size
Okay.
and the right material. So it wouldn't be.
How far off the profile do you remember?
I might even have I have a link in here, but not an actual picture. It's not necessarily the same as this. Like these ones kind of, like the columns and the spindles are actually kind of somewhat similar because they sort of taper, they round out, and then they taper again. Whereas the ones at Lowe's are more of like, it's just rounded, and then it has sort of almost more like rings on the middle, and maybe like 3 or 4 consecutive rings, and then it just kind of maintains the same thickness in its circular section, and then it turns back to the more dimensional shape. So it wouldn't be exact, which I know isn't.
Well, we also live in the real world, don't we? Sorry, I'm just going to see if I can pull up. While I'm doing this, let's discuss the spindle, everybody.
I think that's pretty fine with me.
Yeah, it's very close, I agree.
You're gonna replace all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause they all have to be raised to like
oh,
36.
that's true, right.
Yeah, so it's,
Yep.
they all have to come out.
So, I mean, just as a stupid question, the columns, the height is not the issue with the columns, so they're just in really bad shape? Is there any reason they can't just be like rehabbed or?
Some of them are worse than others, and they actually don't all match. If you look at the one on the far left, that one's actually thicker than the ones in the middle.
Yeah.
So people are already kind of mismatching at some point in time. I don't know where they got that column, I wish I
They
did.
probably face the same thing you're facing, which is, these
Yeah.
designs come and go.
Mhm. So structurally, they're not as bad. Some of them are a little worse than others, actually.
Plus, if you're replacing most of it, you might as well just do the whole thing too.
Yeah, which I think is actually something we talked about
Yeah.
the first time we went, because we said, oh, well, maybe we don't have to replace everything. And then we kind of figured,
Yeah,
maybe we should just replace everything and just,
it's all the same age.
yeah.
Yeah, and it just kind of, I mean, we had a pretty long talk about this. Does that, Lowe's is particularly good on zooming in on design?
Yeah, that's it, that's the one. And they have that same one,
Okay, I see.
they have that at all the other places I went to, basically. I really, they don't really, the variety isn't, there's not that much out there, actually, if you wanna, if you're interested in doing your own porch.
I mean, it's not wild, let's use the word character here, it's not wild to have a character for the village that age, it's available. You've clearly tried to get something closer, but I don't think it's unharmonious with those. We still have a kind of round, it's not like you're square off chamfered thing with these.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Shane, I'm gonna defer to you.
I think it's supposed to work.
It's at least sort of built on the idea of,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have some of the same details. I feel like it works, I mean, if we weren't referencing these older columns, I feel like if that wasn't part of the decision making, then we would say that this column has the same character as the new spindles that we agreed on.
so maybe this is a long discussion, I don't know. You clearly tried to go everywhere that makes spindles, spindles and columns. And just to be sure, it's, this is a point I raised earlier, this is the 5¼ inch rather than the 3½.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's something definitely to
yeah, the 5¼ comes in that same profile.
be, that's what we're.
Yeah. Cause that's what those are too, it's all the same stuff.
And what's the plan for the decorative, I'm losing the architectural term, for the spindles above? Are we gonna keep the ones that are there, or?
Ideally we would. I mean, they're more, they're not particularly structural, in what I
Right.
understand.
It's like one.
Getting around them when we replace everything might be a little tricky, but ideally I'd like to just kind of keep them there, although, and those ones don't have, their profile is, I'm pretty sure it's just kind of like one of these.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, they were probably put in at the same time.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. I think the one thing to bear in mind is, I think I mentioned this last month, that the spacing is now going to be tighter because of code. So you're going to want to watch, I think, keep the spacing the same, which potentially, I don't know exactly what, you need more of them rather than fewer.
yeah,
I would just keep that in mind, that I don't think you want a disharmony on vertical.
right.
I have a quick answer over that.
Well, if we determine that the existing ones are a spindle that's cut in half, if we can determine that that's the case, then couldn't we just do that with the new spindles too?
Yeah, we can make that work.
And that's what it actually is.
Yeah. Cause we also have like, there's one missing up in the top left corner
Yeah,
and
you're already kind of digging out of the hole.
yeah, I might have to look into, cause I think I was going to repaint everything anyway. So I could look into what they have, if they have something else somebody has something else as well.
Yeah. Shane, do you remember the architectural term for upper spindles?
I had in my notes before.
Spandrels?
Spandrels?
Tantrums, yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
Oh, that's new.
Yes. Spandrels. Hose. Do you guys have any ability to fabricate just a couple on the lathe?
We don't have a lathe, unfortunately.
That would be big cost.
Mhm.
Let's hope something can be found that comes close.
Yeah, I did not look into any of those products. I didn't dive into that yet.
Have you read Spells? No. It looks so nice, but now a total headache for you guys.
Yeah, cause they're gonna, if they mismatch with the spanners in the first floor, it's gonna probably be the most annoying eyesore.
But cutting those in half and then just adding, you got a lot of, square block. You could cut it in half and make the block on top.
Right,
So you'll get two out of one.
yeah,
Oh, nice, John.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
and then you could have the same detail.
it'd be
Yeah.
a redesign. I didn't think about that.
okay. That works for us.
Yeah, that's easy to.
So you would go in, how would you attach?
It's short in the end, too, right?
Yeah.
You could glue and put a dowel and.
Oh, bingo.
Dowel it. Yeah, pretty
Or
easy.
you screw in from the top and make that the bottom, maybe so it's not exposed.
Yeah.
So you, George, you zip that basically in the middle, or?
Yeah, you pretty much gotta take that center bead off, eliminate that, and then just attach the block.
Do we have a closer photo of the existing spandrels, or can we zoom in to kind of compare the profiles of them?
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Try zooming in.
I might have one on my phone too, just pass it around.
Get kind of fuzzy.
Starts to get fuzzy, but then, so it would be a design change, but again, like character, yeah, it's not.
But it conforms and matches with the balusters, so. You could keep the same dimension of the block, top and bottom that's there now.
Mhm.
Definitely adds a lot of character to the house.
It does, I mean, it's a feature.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the good news is for the financial side, those aren't particularly expensive pieces, and yes, it's gonna take some labor to cut them down, but you're getting 2 for each piece. And you can spread it over 2 years, assuming that they don't change model. That seems like a pretty good.
Okay.
So those are treated. My understanding of treated and my experience with treated is you need to wait about a year before you can effectively paint them. Is that something you've run into?
I think those are pretty
Think that-
killer dried. Treated, you pretty much gotta use an oil primer.
Okay. mean, it would be
You
so,
could still get,
it'd be nice to paint those on the ground, wouldn't it?
Yeah, ideally, that's what we would
Just
do,
like mass produce,
yeah.
and,
Mhm.
okay. Does that seem like a good outcome?
Yeah, I mean, that works for us, and we could definitely get started with something like that. Yeah, I mean, that satisfies you guys pretty for
I
sure.
mean, it avoids, any kind of custom lathe work.
Yeah,
It's gonna give you a whole new thing that's not gonna give you trouble for years.
yeah.
It's mostly it's treated and cedar.
Mhm.
The posts are the only vulnerable part, actually,
Mhm.
because those are just, I think those are, white wood and pine deck posts. Really be careful about sealing the bottoms, because
Right.
that's where they always go.
Yeah. We'll definitely do that. But yeah, that works for us, and everything's relatively simple to replace
Yeah,
at that point, so,
it'd be a good job, but, if you can do a lot of it on the ground, then it won't actually be that long.
yeah, even if we could just do section by section, a little over time, we'll figure it out, we'll find some time to do it.
I'm just gonna introduce one other thing about those columns. So I have seen plastic and sometimes aluminum feet
Mhm.
that just get the post like an inch off the ground, give room for water to pass without coming into direct contact. I guess technically that's not historical, but I don't know that anybody's gonna see it, and it could really save your posts. Or I actually don't know if they work well, but I know what they're intended to do, which is just
Yeah,
get you up off the ground. I don't know how the commission feels about it, using them as an option.
I haven't seen those before. They can go under structural posts.
Yeah.
yeah, they're mostly used on the deck post,
Maybe.
where it meets the ground,
No,
meets the footing, the concrete footing.
I'm sure that's a use, yeah. I've only seen them in this application.
Yeah, can we bring up like a photo?
I don't know what they're called. Post feet.
yeah, I saw products like that in all of the brochures I saw and whatnot, so I figured that might be a good idea.
Yeah, it's only an inch or so, it's not that noticeable, I think it's
I just feel like it could save you a lot of maintenance
Yeah.
problems. Because, I mean, you're a big operation, you can't really be up there making sure that the tenants shovel the snow off, because that's where it comes like cooling water and melting snow. I have some kind of composite version of this in my basement. I'd be glad to run it over so you can see what they look like.
Yeah,
Sure, maybe do some research, because I can't really
Mhm.
say that they work, I can only say what they're supposed to do.
Right,
They'd have to get screwed in, because I mean, it is structural, so I guess you, I don't know, how would be screwed in. Guess, I don't know, maybe there must be screws in from the side.
yeah, I didn't really get that far into looking at those products. But I could look into it, because I think I think it
I
would be a
think
good
that's
idea.
where I'm going more than recommending any single product, is if we're comfortable giving you the latitude to explore very low profile things that might save you from that wicking effect.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Great.
So colleagues, we should vote on this. Is there a motion to approve?
Fancy version, it's not a product, is it? I mean,
No, so this is top the edge.
yeah, and then you actually, yeah, you wrap it in and then
Oh,
add that to the bottom of your column. So, Fine home building,
oh, that's Swift, yeah.
so,
It's low profile, but, yeah,
That's low profile, can you see it?
yeah.
Yeah, that's,
That's a good idea.
I'm sure there's something out there that would just require a bit of woodworking.
if you shoot that over to Val and we get it, or to me, we'll get it over to you.
Sure.
I mean, that's a no cost
Yeah,
possibility.
we could definitely do.
And then it's just keep up with the caulking,
Mhm.
because eventually that's the.
Yeah, I noticed it's more of a problem on those first floor, it seems, with the deterioration of the bases of the columns, but I'm sure it's happening on the second floor too.
Yeah, they probably don't dry out as quickly,
Yeah.
so they're less exposed to the sun. So good. So colleagues, I think we should vote, I think what's on the table is approval of the spindles, the spandrels, the rails would be done with, cedar 2x4, that's, planed down to give an edge. And we're leaving the latitude for Julie's colleagues to figure out a base if they wish. Can I say? Painted white to match the rest of the building. So motion to approve that. Motion by George, second by Sharon. Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
This is great. And I guess maybe we should have a second vote to approve these permissions for phase 3, which would be next year. So that if money changes or projects change, you could actually go to the COP. Does that sound efficient? Motion to approve that. Shane moves, no second, all those in favor? Okay, so really the project's approved.
All right, terrific, thank you.
Excellent. Should we, there's no, anything else on 88, right? That's all we needed to talk about. Porch project, right?
For that, yes,
Okay.
that was it for.
Good.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. Keen House. So this, everybody, is the gutter replacement. Really carefully spec'd out by Neil Larson. And it currently has gutters, right?
Yes, it has gutters right now that are a little bit smaller than what's proposed. Just enlarging it for increased amounts of rainfall, basically. And then they are like the length is remaining the same, but they are changing the face of the gutter. Right now it's got sort of a curved front face, but they want to change it to just a very rigid, flat, dimensional piece to reflect the 17th century, or the 18th century appearance.
Right.
So that would change the look of it slightly.
I think that's actually the reason we're even talking about it. So it's fundamentally almost like for like replacement, but not quite. So that's our conversation, as I recall.
Yeah.
But it's based on 18th century.
Yeah, and I don't know where Neil stands in terms of getting this project done. I just figured I'd bring it up now to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
But it isn't really that complicated.
It really
It's pretty straightforward.
I mean, I can't see any part of this that is objectionable. It's clearly done with care and historic accuracy. Is there a motion to approve the roof?
Alright, so that, we didn't do a COA and hadn't intended to, except to add the dream house to the eight house, right, COA?
You're right.
So we don't really have an application to approve.
Correct.
Right, yeah,
So.
so I would need to write it,
You were gonna add it to the eight house COA, I
okay,
think.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
it's like, I feel like we don't need a COA for it, if we're actually calling it that.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that this is fundamentally like for like replacement. I kind of move toward historic authenticity.
So I think in some ways it makes sense to add it to the eight house COA just by virtue of getting the information to the building department, although I can do that separately. Because to me, that's the danger for, we don't have a COA, but it needs a permit or something, building department doesn't have anything to work with. And I don't know if these need a permit. Do you happen to know? It's not a
The
structural
gutters?
thing,
the gutters, I don't believe so,
I was surprised. I
So,
and then there's the stair shed, but that's a different, story.
anyway, to have the information down in a document, but to isolate it from what actually requires a COA.
I think that's really wise. So, instead, the motion would be to consider this work like for fundamentally like for like replacement, to append it to the COA application for the ape house at 94 Huguenot Street. And nobody objects to that? Okay. So that's a determination of that. Which in effect is a green light. It sounds like you don't really have a timeline yet, but.
No, not really. I have to check back in with Neil.
Okay.
Yeah, the APAS application isn't in yet either. Do we?
Yeah, I'm gonna send that this month.
Okay,
Okay.
so we wouldn't deal with it for another month, do you wanna just hold this motion and add it when we do the COA, right?
Yeah.
Do you wanna withdraw this motion now, or?
We can't really append it to something that hasn't come in yet.
Well, that's good, yeah, that's good.
I actually think the simplest thing, now that you mentioned that, is let us take a vote whether we consider this fundamentally like for like replacement, which we seem to, and that's all we have to say, and that alone can be communicated. So, sorry for the confusion. Is there a motion to consider the gutter replacement as like for like replacement? So George, yes. Second by Camilla. All those in favor? Okay, so that's its own thing. Now, if you would just communicate that to the building department, it's in effect like a waiver or no need to review
Okay, great.
based on. And then the ape house will be coming to us next month, you think?
Yeah, I missed the deadline this past month, and then honestly, that project is kind of turning into a real headache for multiple people. So I really kind of figured it wasn't something that I had to push really hard.
Not from our point of view at all.
Okay.
So it's really on your timetable.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that we don't meet in August.
Okay.
So we have June meeting, July meeting, and then August meeting.
I wrote the COA out at this point, so I will probably send it for the next meeting. It's just that the work itself probably won't be getting done. I'm not really sure when it's gonna get done. We'll see.
Well, so the COA approval lasts, I always forget.
Start the work within a year.
Start within a year, finish within 18 months.
That shouldn't be a problem.
2 years. And if not, just as we're gonna discuss with the wigwam, just come for an extension.
Okay.
Now, the question came up last month about public hearing for the ape house, and I went in to check and see if we had done one. We did for the west wall, but there were no public comments on that one. It was a really well justified, presented, we had all of Neil's as part of it, so there were no questions really.
Okay.
So you had asked me to follow up.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, as a principle, we like people to have input. How about well, we have some time, if the application's almost done, let's see it and then we'll determine whether a public hearing makes sense.
Okay.
Public hearing puts you through all the signage and noticing.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, let's see exactly what the scope of the work ends up being.
Okay. I did have one other concern with the Jean House. The stair shed on the west wall. We kind of determined it was like for like last summer,
Yeah.
but I never heard back from the building department about getting a permit. I'm actually meeting with the contractor tomorrow morning
Okay.
about scheduling that work to be done.
Right, let me see if I can find the email, because I do
Okay.
remember finding the email. Of course, it was recorded, so,
Yeah, we're right around the time that,
alright, let me see what I can find.
Okay, yeah, it went to him, so I kind of figured something
But
probably
I
just
can
got lost.
forward it to Alex.
Okay,
Let me just see what I've got, make sure it's still up to date.
all right, thank you.
That's fine.
good, so we're meeting with the contractor, that's good stuff. Should we go into the big one? Is there anything else on the Hay House?
Don't think so. That was it.
So everybody, this goes back to 17, yeah, wow. So a couple people weren't on the commission at that point. We had our first and only wigwam application, which we approved. But because it was kind of an unknown thing, and sort of temporary structure, we gave it a 7-year approval with a sort of baked-in 3-year extension on request, which I believe is right where we are, right?
Yes,
You'd like to keep it there
yeah, definitely.
and invoke that 3-year extension. I think I remember emailing up to Albany to say, what do we do about a wigwam? And they didn't really have an answer. And I think we did exactly the right thing. Like, it was an experiment and we tried it and it's worked out.
Yeah, I mean, structurally it seems fine, you know, I light fires in it. I try to at least once a month, kind of keep it somewhat dry. And actually, the person who built it comes around once a year now and actually repairs it, replaces bark slabs as well as the bark ties around certain joints between the logs. So it actually does get maintained a decent amount. So and ideally we'd like to keep it for as long as possible. It's really like sort of a focal point. We use it for every single tour, every single field trip, and it gets probably more attention than some of the houses do at this point. So it's pretty important to us. Definitely want to keep it for another 3 years. I can talk to the original builder because he'll be here in June. I can kind of see what he says, you know, if maintenance actually preserves it for a long period of time. I mean, on the inside, it looks really, really good.
Great.
All the, like, kind of what you see on the, I don't know if you've actually ever been on the inside of the wigwam, but it kind of looks similar on the inside. It's really just insulated with reeds, and then there's more logs that are curving over the structure in both directions, and they're strapped together. And those are all dried out, and they seem absolutely fine. Nothing really seems structurally in trouble. So another 3 years, definitely. And I don't know if there's any chance of extending that again one day, but I know we'll definitely want to keep it for as long as possible. Otherwise, we'll have to build a new one, I suppose.
Yeah, start from scratch. I mean, maybe it's the kind of structure where regular maintenance basically renews it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, the cedar logs that get planted in the ground, I mean, eventually I mean, it's cedar, so it's gonna last for a little while, but once those start to go, I mean, it's gonna be really difficult to replace certain parts of the foundation, without really having to get really technical. So, I don't really know. I'll speak to the creator, the builder, in June, and see what he says, but 3 years would be great. Nobody wants to see it go.
I mean, we're a preservation commission, so I think we're proud to be part of this, so.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve a 3-year extension? No one else? Second it? Any other discussion?
No,
You answered my only question, which is, is it sound, is it maintained, and it is, so. All those in favor? Okay. And then we'll just see, I mean, it's wonderful to hear that it's such an important part of it too.
Yeah, it's definitely a focal point at this stage.
Right?
it's not treated as why was it decided to treat it as a temporary structure?
Because I guess it is, I mean, just doesn't, that was kind of my question up to Albany, is this a permanent feature or not?
Right.
As I recall, I mean, it's 7 years ago, so I don't really remember exactly the answer, but I think the answer was, it's somewhere in between, and it's up to you.
Right.
There was no resistance when it was first applied for, we were in favor. Maybe something like that, would it be analogous to like a shed?
I know, that's what I'm thinking, it's like a shed in the category anyway. You don't give temporary approval for sheds.
No, that's true, yeah. Maybe, I mean, maybe the thinking, I can't reconstruct it, I was
Yeah, yeah.
but I think maybe because it was kind of an experiment on Huguenot Street's part, maybe they even wanted them out.
Yeah,
I don't remember,
Yeah, I just wonder if the next time around maybe
be a little more
approach it
permanent.
differently, yeah,
Yeah.
with a different designation.
It kind of sounds like having specialists to maintain it is pretty important. So I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, the bark strapping is pretty critical. I mean, there's definitely some things it's definitely older. If you look at the picture of it, was first completed, a photo of it now, it's, there's some mushrooms growing out of it.
Yeah.
But it's not like sloping to a certain side or anything like that. I think historically they just were never built to last more than a certain amount of time. So in reality, Lenape never made them to stand for 25 plus years. So eventually it's not going to last. So another 3 years would be great, and then I guess we'll see what we do after that.
Do we need to communicate that to the building department? Okay, so Val will do that and good to go.
Okay.
I really mean it, I'm proud to be a part of this
Yeah.
decision or the direction you're taking. Because it honors, not by
Yeah, stop by sometime.
Yeah.
Crawl in there.
Sounds great. So we should plan to see you for the Gene House next month, at least that's what we're thinking
Yeah, and I'll get the COA for Abe.
now. I'm sorry, I meant Abe.
Oh yeah, just Abe, because he's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have that in. It's relatively straightforward stuff. But you'll definitely know how to look at it.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Will you see the Woodlawn builder by the time we meet in June or no?
He'll be there on the 8th and the 9th, because we're having our annual
Yeah.
Dutch marketplace. So the Lenape will be there, the guy who built this will be there, and then a bunch of historical interpreters for the weekend,
So I
so.
think we're the following Monday.
It should be, yeah.
if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Oh, actually, I'm going for July, that was the 10th. It was the 10th, so maybe we can put that on the agenda too, and report back.
Sure.
Yeah.
That'll be a busy week.
Unlike all the other weeks you've had.
Yeah, the marketplace is fun now.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
I mean, my job is fun too, but the marketplace is great fun.
Have a good day.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Take care.
So, but I think we can kind of plow through our updates and discussions. The Ann Oliver House landmarks that we issued has now officially been filed with the county. There was a long delay that I don't think we got an explanation for, but it's done.
They needed a registered copy of the minutes.
That's right.
In the past, we excerpted the minutes, and that was sufficient.
But they never communicated back that it was
No,
insufficient.
it's fine, it's taking a long time. So I asked.
Michael, anything cooking on you don't speak to?
Nothing that I'm aware of. I mean, it looks like you're referring to the, I'm not sure what one ID1 is.
I can fill that in really quickly.
Is that what was that?
Correct,
Yeah, so I only see what I see, so I don't know what's going on, but obviously they've gutted it and doing a lot of work inside.
Yes, and I think I can just finish that. So I met with Mr. Balinskis last week, about a week ago, and he's doing great things inside. Seems very appreciative of what the house history and style are. He is trying to figure out what to do with his windows. He's got a kind of mishmash of older but definitely not original windows. He's just really kind of thinking through that. There are a couple of points because of egress requirements on the second floor where he's got a tricky situation where he can't do outswinging casement windows because they would hit part of the structure. So he's thinking about an unusual thing, which would be an in-swinging casement window to get the mandatory 5.5 feet of egress. But he's really thoughtful about it and not doing anything immediate, and is aware that he'll need to come to us for this thing. There's also something with at the rear of the house, there really isn't any overhang, and it's created foundation problems, created water infiltration. So he'd like to build that out. It's 100% at the rear of the structure, so I said, when you come up with a plan, we'll see it, but it's good that it's at the rear. And I think that's about possibly a patio in the back, again, rear facing, and something that doesn't look like it would ever be a problem. So, but I feel very happy that the house has gone to somebody that seems to appreciate it.
Nice.
And sorry, I'm doing most of this report. The Noels at 160, your neighbors, are pretty serious about building a sunroom extension, and we might see an application in the next month or two. And nothing is on 181 that's pertinent to us.
Nothing that's pertinent to us. My understanding, you might know, is that they either have or are in the process of getting a designation from the building department that will satisfy everybody, and so they'll be able to operate there without having to go before any more village boards, if that's the case.
That's how I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any further forward movement on that.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's been a few weeks since I first heard about it, and I might get it. I haven't followed up. Saw some people who are directors of the school, and they just brought it to my attention, so. The particulars, it's a zoning designation that appears that powers would be if decided is appropriate, but I don't have the exact wording, so I don't want to misspeak. But anyway, they were very excited about that and hopeful that that would take care of the issues. So we might be able to continue to operate, people who live there can live there, and the school can continue to function there.
Thank you for your
Sure.
role in
Yeah,
helping them along. Other reports, Camilla or Val, anything further from Claire? Last I heard, she was just waiting for contact.
She's gonna pilot a couple of windows, she's gonna.
Yes, she did
try some,
orders
yeah.
and to see the quality and whether it would be suitable.
So pilot in the sense of,
Just
Install
to
it.
try that, yep,
okay,
and they hadn't arranged the timing for that yet, so that's still in the works, we're still planning, but I'm not sure it's been scheduled.
Camilla, what about 3 Water Street?
I met with Lisa and we looked at some colors for shutters, doors and the patio. They completed the power washing, so hopefully the painting can start soon. After this, looking at a few options and talking with the designers, we kind of narrowed down color choices, and the shutters will be hunter green. I have the colors right here. The door, Boston brick, and the patio, green grove. Sorry, yes. So the shutters is darkening the bottom. This color was chosen because the soffit was painted green, very similar to this one, maybe a bit lighter. And also green and white is a classic color combination for the time period that the house was built. And then the doors was blue. It's a kind of reddish brown, also classic and not too bright, more deep classic color. And then green grove for the patio. It's a kind of muddy color, you know, it's a combination of browns, greys and greens. Usually if you paint with a brown, it doesn't really look natural anyway. And this is a very neutral color, it would go with anything really. And kind of recede onto the back end as well, so it wouldn't draw too much attention to itself.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. Thank you for doing those consults. You know, I think everybody's always really grateful that you're,
my initial choices were not right, that I can tell you. You know, they got a bit toned down. I think on the long run, it's
no problem. Thank you for doing it. 52 North Chestnut is just a really brief report that I met with the relatively new owner of that home. They are looking to build a porch with an overhang, very concerned to do it in a historically sensitive way. So I gave some suggestions, ideas, just kind of talked about the project, let her know what the process is. So you'd be observing or commenting on that when it comes. Camilla, our show updates, I guess at this point we have some specific planning to do, right? Only a few weeks away.
there is a bit. As of May 5th, our show is ready to be viewed and it's officially open. We received a record number of submissions, 75 altogether, which is almost twice as many.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than
Previous
50,
years. And it really was an effort to put them all up. I'm still recovering from that. But everything was great and I think we can be proud.
I came by a few days after the 5th, I'm not sure which day, but I was so impressed. First of all, every inch of the walls
Yes.
is covered
It's
with 75 submissions. but also the quality just really looked good, so I think it'll be a great show.
Yes. So I think in preparation for the reception, I just would like to ask a volunteer to maybe help me bring the drink portion of the food and libations to the library either on Friday or Saturday.
You'll,
I have a lot of food items to bring myself, so if somebody could take over the drinks, that would be great. I'm happy to buy them and we can arrange them.
yeah, I mean, that makes sense to keep kind of everything on one reimbursement. Let's see, the reception day is Saturday the 6th, I think.
No,
No, June
First, right, I'm off by a whole week.
And we also have to keep in mind that Main Street will be closed for
Yeah, so
the Penfield
Parade.
Oh, the Take Back the Night parade, or is it Pride?
No,
Pride's
it's
Pride.
Pride parade. Okay, yeah, so maybe the move is to get the beverages there Friday.
And then we can put them in the fridge. There's a fridge at the library.
Yeah.
We can use.
Roughly how many boxes or carriers of beverage are we talking?
Well, I don't remember how many bottles we had last year, but there will be some mineral waters and some other soft drinks. Maybe 10 or 15 bottles of
Okay, so like a case or two.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can do that Friday the 31st. It sounds like that's really a lot easier than trying to do it the day of the parade and the uncertainty of when the Main Street gets shut.
Yes, I will be at the library on the 1st at 10 o'clock just to set everything up. The tables and arrange
Okay,
some items.
unclear. So.
So then we can coordinate.
Yeah, I think it'll mean like driving over and picking them up from your house and then.
Yeah, that sounds good. And usually we have HPC members who bring a little something in English. If you feel like preparing
Yeah, that's,
a tray or something, but it's not necessary.
that's a nice thing.
It's a nice.
Be nice if people can commit to bring something. It can be really simple. It can be like vegetables or a tray of brownies or just something. And we're good for judges.
We are good for judges. We have our three judges. Marcy Bernstein, who was a very good judge a few years back. Very knowledgeable and really explains everything about the choices you can make. She's a professional artist and has an art career, so she knows she's talking about, and then Don Kessler. He's also in a similar vein, and Kenny Fisher, all of that artists.
And the winner of at least one show. Ken's won best in show at
Yeah,
least.
she has won a few times, yes. And she's a lovely person too.
Great, so we said the reception was 1 to 3.
1 to 3, yes, June 1st, 1 to 3.
June 1st, 1 to 3 p.m. And we typically do the remarks around 2.
Yes.
And realistically, I don't think the event's really ever gone to 3. Pretty
Last year,
good.
we kind of had to keep people out. And this year we had a popular vote as well. We had a box that's set up and people can go in there.
Suggested. And that'll be tallied the point
People
of
trying
the,
to tell you, I think the library will set up online voting,
okay.
but in the meantime, to keep the box and read those votes and they're going to be online. I hope they will be able to do that.
Is there a name for that award?
It's just, I don't know, people's choice.
People's Choice and People's Choice. Because there's Best in Show,
Yes.
which is determined by the judges, and then a prize for each of the genres. I like that idea a lot, it kind of democratizes. That sounds great.
And everything is with that name, so it's just numbers, so. If you look at something, unless you know the person.
Right.
You know them, know their style, personality. So just-
It'll be an experiment, but.
Yes, we must see how it goes.
Camilla, among the judges, have they worked out who's going to address the crowd?
Well, Marcy won't be able to come to the reception because she has a prior commitment, but she will consult with the others. And if need be, somebody can read her statement and that, and either can or Tom.
Will they have decided, given that be at the reception, will they have met previously and made a decision?
But they probably will do that, yes.
I don't, I do know that Tom can speak really well.
Yes. He will be more than happy to. I sent them a list of the artwork, divided into each category, so they know what number corresponds to what.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah, so it's ready, everything is ready for them to go and take a look and make a decision, which will be very difficult. I think,
It's gonna be hard this year.
yes.
No, thank you for all that. Do we feel completely planned that?
Yes.
Okay, so I will coordinate with you about beverages on Friday. And others, please, try to come. It's a really nice event and a great community event. And if you can bring a little something for the table, that'd be lovely. And otherwise, can we do we ask for $250 or?
Yes, but,
It's
yes.
in the budget, so just save the statements.
Usually we buy fruits and some vegetables, leaves,
Cheese.
I bake something savory and sweet. We try to make it diverse, so everybody can find something that they like.
Yeah, some gluten-free, some dairy-free,
Yeah,
some
some vegan.
vegan. Great, thank you. That'll be fun.
And then I will keep in touch with James, and anything comes up, he has been really wonderful.
Oh, yeah, I think we have great support.
Yes,
I
and all
should-
the staff at the library,
Uh,
including
The new library.
Christine, she's very nice.
I wanted to remind you that Elting will do the printing of the programs. There's a little confusion over what we asked for, but
Yes.
Stephen confirmed that they can do that. So I would just coordinate with James.
Okay. I might need to ask for a little assistance with the brochure. I prepared it, but when I tried to print it, it didn't work out at all. Something was, the front and the back pages were on right side up, but the inside was the wrong side. And I will just talk to you.
Okay. Great, thank you, Camilla.
Thank you.
So item 5, everybody, is our Bluestone sidewalk and curb inventory. Checking in to see Shane's almost done. Michael, where are you? Not yet. Okay. Camilla, not
And,
okay. And Stephen is done. So we're half or more done. What I'm thinking is basically the individual things that you're looking for would go into a table and just, kind of record of what's there. But I think, unless anybody objects, I think maybe it would be nice to have a little bit of a kind of frame around the report. So some of the things on my mind, Kingston has a pretty protective bluestone ordinance, which can be cited and maybe summarized. Somebody told me that Newburgh did too, but I couldn't find anything in Code 360 that spoke to that. But if anybody knows otherwise, I'd love to hear that. And then maybe just summarize some of the things we learned from the presentation 2 months ago. So I'm talking about, like, I would write up maybe a half page to a page and a half summary. Stone Ridge, obviously, George, your photos would come in here. You've got this nearby community that managed to do well by its bluestone heritage, and just present that at our earliest possible moment to the village board. I think that we're too late. Bill, honestly, I think the Prospect Street thing was out of our hands and probably was. We didn't know anything about this, the contract for the blacktop sidewalks, and I guess it's cement curbs, blacktop sidewalks.
That's correct.
Yeah. I mean, we probably could have hurried this project, half a year ago if we had known, but it never got to us. But at least we can present something to the board, and you can kind of advocate or carry it to the board, and at least we'll know what we've got in the village, where the concentrations really are. We kind of know intuitively, but there are maybe some surprises, and definitely the condition could help. And then just a little context around bluestone. At some point I'd like to get down to Elting and see what I can find out about bluestone paving projects. There may be something in the historical record. So if that's okay, let's make that a priority. As soon as you have, I guess this is Shane and Michael, as soon as you can get me that those data, then I guess it can get assembled into a single table, and then I'll draft something. Maybe I would press the hope that we could approve the draft at the next meeting, swiftly to the village board. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Thanks to everybody for participating in that. Item 6 is the town mapping site. Our task there was just to look it over, and if there was any kind of suggestion, make it known to us or to directly to the town. Does anybody have anything you wanted to share on that? To me, it looks like a great skeleton, but it's pretty basic. I mean, it's basically just moving the data from the reconnaissance level survey into online form, but I think it's a structure that we can over time fill out with photos, with updates. So if there's nothing to report, let's move on. Annual report, that's maybe half or a little bit more drafted. It's due at the end of this month. And I think probably the procedure there is just to draft it, get it, or finish it, get it sent in and share that with everybody. It's really pretty basic. I mean, it's the list of the members, it's the list of the meetings, it's an account, it's a number attached to the number of cases we hear, and then there's some more discursive stuff about what the challenges are, what needs or help we might want. We've done these every year and they're pretty routine. One thing that would help is if you did any kind of training. This is something I haven't even tracked for myself, let alone the commission, but they seem now to want an accounting of what trainings we do. So if you've done anything, it'd be great to communicate that to me or to Val. I did one just last week. It was a webinar at lunchtime. It was an hour well spent because it was well organized and informative. And then they offered something I'd never heard of before, which is these certificates of participation, which I asked for, so that at least now we can start making a file of these things. And now that it occurs to me, I think that it was recorded. Maybe we should track that down and just share the link if you have a spare hour. One of the things I liked about the thing on Wednesday is it seemed more directed to like planning boards and boards of appeal in communities where they don't have a preservation commission. So it's kind of explaining the rationale. And that was kind of useful to hear it again, but also useful to hear about some of the tax advantages that we don't seem to do much about in this community. So maybe we lean into that in the future. And then grant application, I have to say, I just don't have the bandwidth for grant. And the due date is in 2 weeks, so I think it's a foregone conclusion we're not doing one, but there are some good ideas kicking around and we can think about something for next year. Sorry to decide that, but they do take some work to apply for, and I'm sure I don't have the gas in the tank. Anything on those code revisions?
Was I supposed to do something?
Yeah, we're going back 2 months now, which is why this.
So the answer is no.
I think you were gonna transform,
I thought I did what I was, okay.
you was gonna go to the village attorney to turn into legalese. Is that?
Yeah, I thought that was. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to go back and look at my emails, right? I mean, the text is what we got from, the question with state, right, whoever it was, Francis at this point, I think, right?
It might have already been Francis.
Was what was her preference, and they answered that they would, I think they said, I have to go through my emails. I can't remember, the question was, would they want to see it before or after we gave it to
Yeah,
the
that sounds
village
right.
attorney?
And they said after would be okay, right?
That's the part I don't remember what her actual response was. I have to look through my emails about that.
I'm looking at the March minutes, and our discussion said, Mr. Ziller will review Ms. Mackey's feedback and update his draft code revisions within the next month,
Okay,
and then share with them.
and I guess that's the ball I dropped.
Come on.
No, that's
We're all
fine.
volunteers.
Yeah, no.
That is sounding right.
Okay, all right, maybe I can't, okay, I have no recollection of whether I started that or not, so I guess I didn't. So sure.
I don't remember being I mean, you probably would have copied me on.
Yeah, if I had actually finished something, okay, because I definitely went through her comments. All right,
You know, what I remember the task is just sort of taking her comments, putting them into layman language, which they kind of already are,
yeah,
and then asking the village attorney to turn it into legalese.
Yeah.
Then we can send it.
okay, anyway, I will have a look at that one, go into the look
Okay.
and
We'll call that
make that
a June item, right?
make that something gets done.
Okay. Thank you, that's
Yeah.
good.
Thanks for the nudge.
No worries. So, one of the things that I always come back to is, you know, volunteers who meet once a month.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
employees
that's
in an
fine.
office complex. Budget news is good, we're almost done, at this point, we're all but done with the fiscal year, having expended about, let's say, at this point, 70% of our annual budget. So I did ask Val, do you think you need a new computer?
I'd rather not go there. I'm just gonna end up using one.
As long as,
Because this is all equipment that is set up for me. The only thing I use this for right now is for processing.
okay. like a voice recorder wouldn't help because we've got YouTube.
Right.
Okay. Can anybody think of any like hardware that we might want before it's too late to ask? Well, I can't really think of anything. We still have a high quality Zoom voice recorder if we want to get going, which I would like to get going on these oral history projects, but that's fine. The other good thing is we did get our fiscal year budget approved, and got everything we asked for, including the salary increase for Val, which every year I always say I wish we could put zeros after that number, but the village is the village. But Val, we appreciate everything, even if the annual increase isn't what we would vote for.
It's what everybody got, I appreciate it.
So things are good there. Yeah, so item 10, training resources, the Learn at Lunch webinar that I attended on May 8th, I thought was good. Val, you were there as well.
I was.
Do you think it is worth tracing down the recording?
Yeah, I'll see if it's available. I also did the planning and zoning one,
We do.
which I have the slides for, that was not recorded. The slides are useful, I can distribute.
Okay, that would be great. And I think if you watch through the slides or the recording, let's make it a practice to let them know, and we should just kind of keep a running list. The problem with these annual reports is that they're a year in arrears, or almost a year, and they start October 1st, and it's like I can never get my head around that conception of a fiscal year. So it's always a scramble to remember what we did. But if we just kind of do it continuously, that would be great. Please remember to do those 2 mandatory training webinars. You can do them remotely on the NeoGov site. And housing and historic preservation, I guess that's coming up in 2 weeks, or no, next week. If you could attend that, great. Other business, the plan for pilot episodes of world history, that's one of those things that I really do want to try, and it just always gets kicked to the bottom of my list, but I'm hoping soon to be able to, or at least.
Carol at the library has some recordings, beautiful recordings.
I'm sorry, come on, could you just, I can hear you. Just
All the Carol Johnson at the library has recorded voice recordings from quite a while back.
Around architecture or history?
Well, not necessarily just architecture, but people who
Okay, that might be a nice thing.
early 1900s.
That's good. Okay. Thanks. I wasn't aware at all. What format are they?
I didn't believe that I was just changed this project.
Cool. Shane, at some point we'll get back to those guidelines. That just feels like another thing that always falls to the bottom of the list.
I actually started working on that again. I'm working on a project in Hoboken, and they have a series of guidelines on their HPC website. So I just basically have just been editing their window 1.
Great.
So I feel like I hit a wall on the last one, but I've just kind of started fresh. Just basically just kind of seeing what they had.
Yeah, and it turns out there's some, either statewide or maybe it's Preservation League of New York has done a lot of this.
Yeah.
We could probably save ourselves.
For sure, I kind of started from scratch before, but this Hoboken guideline is really good, so.
Great. Item F, updates on PD and ZBA. So Water Street, I want to definitely spend some time there. So let me just say briefly, so Prospect Street, as you heard, that demolition's been approved. We are mentioned in the resolution as being, I don't think the word was mandatory, but we are to be consulted about the siding. We haven't seen any of that yet. And we don't really know what the design is. We also don't really have control over it. Like, we did what we could to try to improve the initial design, which I would say wasn't good. So I guess it's kind of, I made a note to circle back to the planning board chair just to see exactly where that is and how we can help. As for 11 Water Street, so this is the last item before we go into the executive session. Somebody from the community wrote to me about maybe 10 days ago, concerned that the Water Street Hotel project that we reviewed, and it wasn't exactly an approval, but we gave our impressions to the planning board. And when we had that meeting a little over a year ago, they did make it clear that they were going to move the siding tracks, which you see just into that line of trees, is the existing siding, and as part of their design, they needed the patio, so they're going to move them. I don't remember if they said at that point shorten them or not, but I definitely remember the discussion of moving, and I remember that they wanted to install interpretive signage. And my recollection was that we all thought that was a good, sensitive approach to the siding being on their property. The person from the community is concerned about moving them, number one, because they'd be not in their original location, and number two, shortening them, and proposed something that I don't know if it's possible at this point, taking them wholesale, not cutting them, taking them off-site and putting them closer to where the station restaurant is. And so I'm not sure what to say about, I mean, I guess I have some personal thoughts on it, but I'm not sure that we really have much to do except advocate around this issue, because the project has been approved by the planning board, minus a couple of small details. I don't know the nature of those details, but this might come under that. But basically, the project's approved. As you can see in the drawing, the interpretive signage is part of the plan. The siding is moving a little bit to the south, and I guess being shortened. According to this, it would be
It's 50 feet, it's 250 feet.
50 feet from, was it 70 originally?
I don't see that on here.
Yeah, that was the history. So anyway, I mean, I think this is a serious thing for us to talk about, because here's an opportunity to be thoughtful about the preservation of a pretty significant part of New Paltz's transportation history. And I'm willing to do what it takes. I just didn't want to speak for the commission. I don't know how you feel about this idea. The other thing that I don't know, and I did check with the person in the community who raised it, it's not clear whether the owners of the property that he intends to put the tracks want it. So that seems pretty basic to get figured out. But according to what we decide now, I will happily go back to the planning board, advocate, go back to the citizen, and report our discussion. What do y'all think?
If it's gonna go on adjacent to the rail trail, next to where the depot was, which is now a restaurant, that's the idea. My concerns are that there's not a lot of space between the restaurant and the rail trail. I don't actually know where the village's property ends. vis-à-vis the rail trail or the right of way. And
Is
it's
it,
also,
is it even the village, or is it Waltham Valley?
yeah, I don't know who actually owns it, the land trust may own the, I don't think they own it, I think the village owns it.
Okay.
And the land trust folded, the Rail Trail Association folded into them, and so they have legal responsibility for it, but the ownership is the village at that point. My other concern is that, my personal feeling is that that side of that building against the rail trail is fairly, I will say, nondescript, with a lot of machinery, infrastructure machinery, and
AC.
and not landscaped or anything like that. And I think it's actually a pretty unattractive place to put this, and it would require the village probably and the property owner agreeing to do some upgrades there. I'm actually more inclined to accept a shortened bit of track with more or less in its closer to its original location here with interpretive signage that this property owner is prepared to incorporate into their property. I feel like that's actually, I understand the person who brought this forward, I understand, the history is really interesting and I do nothing about it, because there were 4 sidings in the village.
I believe 6 even, was it 4, was it 6?
Yeah, of which this is the last remaining one.
Yeah.
But I think if those are the 2 options, I think this is probably a more attractive option. Simpler, I worry that trying to get all the other people in line to do what it suggested and possibly hold up this project sounds to me like maybe also not something worth entering into. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Others? No?
I agree with you. I have concerns about the space as well. It's just really narrow, the facing edge. I don't know, there's a big kind of both aspects that I do agree.
I do remember that we were satisfied, we specifically commented on that, aspect of the proposal. Okay, keeping the signing and putting in interpretive signage seemed to us a positive feature of the overall design. The person who raised the question though does make a point, like chopping off whatever section that's gonna have to be chopped off to make this design work. It would be a shame if that remainder just became scrap metal. So I'm wondering if one outcome here is, urge the person who raised the question to accept this as kind of a fait accompli, and let's get actively looking for a place for that other 20 or 40 feet. Maybe with interpretive signage, maybe we can find, I'm thinking maybe like, I don't know if there's room near Zero Place, but that's kind of a place where people enter the rail trail pretty often. Wherever there might be a wide spot, so to speak. And just, ideally it would be where one of the other sidings is.
Yeah, I have 2 other sort of out there ideas for a scrap of track. One, the village, if they were interested, could put it in Hasbrook Park as kind of an interesting feature. If I was a kid, I'd love to play on it.
I thought you were going to say skate park, because that would be
Oh, that would be,
outrageous.
that would be wild.
That's a good idea.
The other thing would be to sort of honor it by giving it to a sculptor to turn it into something. I think of one person who works in metal in this community, which is well known.
Craig Sanders.
That's what I was thinking, but who could both honor and respect its history and make something really interesting and attractive out of it that a hotel might even want, for example. So,
Yeah.
use as a feature on the other side of their place, or, something like that. So that might be something to consider. I think he would love, probably, that's kind of thing he would love to do. He's done some fabulous historical things already
Yeah.
on Huguenot Street. So, anyway, just some thoughts.
Those are great ideas. I mean, the other piece of this is the tract belongs to the owners of 11 Water Street. I mean, if they want to say
Yeah,
it's ours and we can do what we want. And it can be hard to get around. Those are great ideas.
Didn't they say though that it might be part of the railing? Stairs?
oh, did they say that?
I
Oh,
think they
interesting.
did, didn't they? As far as I remember.
I don't remember that detail at all.
I'm
Anyway,
sorry, say again.
That it becomes part of the siding as a railing.
oh, the applicants.
The applicants.
Oh, that's possible. I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either, I can check my notes.
This would be a while ago, I think it was, if it was like April 20, now it's fall 22.
Yeah, they were building into that
Yeah.
plan.
Right. I mean, that was actually one of the first things I said to the person who raised the question is, we approved designs at a very early stage and we're planning for it. It's been with us for a year. Everybody, I will work on that basis. Don't necessarily agree with that proposal, but we'd like to see something thoughtful done with it. Everybody, that's the agenda, also 8:45, if you're joking, is a hard stop. Is there any other business before we go into executive session?
I just had another thought about the arch we were talking about for inviting previous HPC members
Yes,
to
please.
the opening. Maybe if we could compile a list.
So previous village HPC then?
Yes. Agnes, who served on the HPC since the art show first started?
Yeah, Agnes, Sue,
The Agnes,
Sue, and Pat,
Chris.
Chris. That's probably everybody.
Oh, God.
That sounds right. That's nice. Also, the town HPC, I think is already always invited, right? Okay, let's make sure to do that.
And the village hall members, just as a gesture.
Okay.
And I think Stephen will talk to the board of trustees of the library.
Good. And they probably have a regular, like, arts or events email list. Yeah, the library. Is there any other business? Okay, so, we're gonna, vote to go into executive session, which I think is gonna mean turning off the broadcast and even recording. Do we record?
No.
No, it shouldn't.
No, I'm gonna stop the meeting, but I need the motion for.
Yeah, I just want to explain briefly, so we are going to go into executive session for the purposes of considering the reappointment of Shane and Camilla, both of whose terms are ending this month. I've talked to both of them by email already, they're both going to serve again, which makes me extremely happy in both cases. But nonetheless, the procedure is we have to ask you to one by one, leave the room while we discuss your case and then invite you back in, just like you're in school doing an oral exam. So it's a motion to enter into executive session, turn off the recording, and I guess end the meeting after we conclude the executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Michael, seconded by George. All those in favor? Okay, executive session begins. Shane, if
Not yet, please.
you just,
Okay.
not yet?
I will stop the meeting.
Oh, yeah, I won't talk yet, but Shane, if you could just